What if Naruto is the cursed shield of prophecy with six eyes? Sad, bro.
A tiny shadow was sprinting down the vacant streets, turning at random intervals, panting roughly from the constant strenuous activity. The only way of actually telling their presence moving along the streets was thanks to the lights that casted a shadow as the presence moved past them. The shadow finally came to a halt in an isolated alley trying to capture its fleeting breath. That shadow outline took a few moments to capture its breath as it basked in the silence that permeated the immediate vicinity. As the minutes crawled on by, as did the position of the moon's light. Underneath of the heavenly body's glow, the shadowed silhouette was instantly dissipated, revealing just who. The shadow was now replaced by a boy no older than 4 years old, whose jet black hair with red tips seemed to radiate in the moonlight. Even though his eyes were lidded due to exhaustion and mental fatigue, but his bright blue eyes, they look the same as Gojo's eyes from Jujutsu Kaisen. He has the six eyes, still glowed brilliant. The dead of the night. His face was covered in dirt and small cuts that were dried over by blood thanks to running all over the village all night. His most prominent facial were 3 dark whisker birthmarks on each one of his cheeks. His skin was fairly well tanned, most likely from his constant movement. He wore a white shirt that had stains and tatters. His cream-colored slacks had holes on the knees and thighs, showing their deplorable condition. His white shoes had holes on the insides as the soles down. The tired ravenet's breathing hitched when he heard the stomping of numerous pairs of feet and loud voices nearing his position. The demon went this way. Today is the day we finally rid ourselves of that plague. Yes, now we can finish what our beloved Yondaime started. That last exclamation really got the frenzied mob's blood pumping as images of the Yondaime Hokage entered their alcohol-influenced minds, even though Minato is still They still hated him. The young boy could feel the stampede getting closer and closer as he watched the loose smaller objects rattle. Naruto inched back into the furthest, darkest corner of the alley and curled up into a ball. Naruto shut his eyes and prayed to anyone that was listening to spare him from the torture of the fox hunts that occurred on his birthday. The things that occurred to him ranged from being stabbed in the eye to being bludgeoned by any number of blunt objects. Last year, however, was far the worst out of all of the fox hunts. The mob discovered that when set on fire, his skin would regenerate before the fire would actually kill him, so he needed to stay a human bonfire for 2 hours. They continued the treatment until Naruto begged them for death, but then as usual it never came, because his regeneration is the same. Demos from Kimetsu no Yaiba. Yes, he is a demon. Naruto was shaken from his thoughts when a shrill shriek alerted the bloodthirsty mob to his location. Naruto looked up to see that the mob had already positioned itself only way into or out of the alley. Naruto's facial expression curled into one of disgust as he smelled the alcohol reeking off of the fox hunters. There was a woman with pin at the head of the mob who was giving him the nastiest glare he had ever seen. He couldn't understand why she hated him so much. He had never done anything wrong. Like the matron at the orphanage all over again. We finally cornered you, you damn demon. The pink-haired woman screeched out, which made Naruto slap his hands over his ears. The crowd was so intoxicated that they didn't even wince when the pink-haired ringleader spoke in an abnormal decibel, which was saying something considering just how loud her screech was. I am not a demon. Naruto yelled back, defiantly disputing the woman's false claim. Naruto inched back until his back hit the cold stone wall. He had nowhere left to go. He knew he couldn't count on the Anbu who were supposed to be watching him to help out. I do not own Naruto. It belongs to Masashi Kishimoto. This fiction is just for F. Yes, you are monster. You tried to hurt the fourth. The woman shouted at the cornered boy as her anger kept growing. Now she finally had the chance to cleanse herself. Oh. Demon plague. I'm no demon lady. My name is Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki and I have never killed anyone. Naruto exclaimed honestly, because he was only 4, he couldn't kill anyone Eve wanted to. He had never even met these people outside of these fox hunts, so he never met their families. No one died in the Kyuubi attack. Naruto is born earlier in this Busil got weak and Minato seal half of the Nine Tails chakra in Naruto. They just hate him because he is different. He is like the same age as Shisui in this It was now that two men sporting Chunin flak jack vests walked out of the mob and stood in front of the pink-haired lady. They both had shaggy black hair with matching soulless eyes that only added to their evil facade, or at least they appeared to the Ravenet that way. They both wore smug grins that promised unbearable amounts of pie. The demon in front of the two hidden leaf shinobi. It was now that Naruto realized that these two were actually twins, something he missed in his earlier panicked state. It doesn't matter who you are anymore, demon, because soon you'll just be a pile of smoldering ash. They bellowed smugly and in perfect unison. If the situation had not been so dire for Naruto, he would have sweat dropped at the ridiculousness of the two goons in front of him. Naruto released one last exhausted sigh, finally gave up on his attempt to explain himself. Naruto shut his eyes and bit down on his tongue, since there was no way he would give them the satisfaction of hearing screams of pain. Don't cry, crying is for the weak, he told himself. The sadistic twins broke into a fit of chuckles when they noticed the demon's pitiful actions. Already giving up, are we, little demon? The one on the left taunted his victim. Grinned evilly. The night was still too young, they kept on beating him till they got tired. Naruto's body hurt really bad, he has lost an arm. When they left, he finally let his tea. Was it too much to ask for? Did Kami forsake him that much that he thought 4 years old doesn't deserve a family to love him? Sometimes Naruto would stay awake at n. When everyone asleep, he would pray and pray to Kami until his breath would be cut short. Please make this stop. Give me a loving family, I beg of you, please. Naruto prayed since he can remember, and never even once were his prayers answered. When you're young, there isn't much to do but dream. Dream of getting a pet, getting rescued by a prince, or finding a princess. Dreaming of being a hero and saving the day. Dream of money to get any and all the toys you want. What it would be like to eat candy for any meal. What isn't normal is to wonder what it would be like to be warm. If it was possible for your heart to not be in pain seeing your own parents glaring at you as if you were themself, and wonder why that was. Kids weren't supposed to dream and find solace in the dark, where no one could see them. Dream of a life without getting smacked, and what it would be like with a normal name. One that wasn't monster or demon or brat. Those were the nice dreams that were only that, dreams. But as one reached the age of 4, they were old enough for reality. They were ready to face the world, which, to be honest, was just a package of confusion, disappointment, pain. And it was wrapped in a pretty bow called, why me? Those dreams became as rare as the food he could find. As rare as coming back to the box he called home, only to find a new resident cat and decide that its kitties needed the warmth more than he did. The same year, October's 10, Minato and Kushina were having their second child, or twins. In Minato and Kushina's location. 4th Hokage. Minato. Back away from the Jinchuriki or your children die at the ripe old age of 1 minute, the masked intruder said to the blonde-haired Hokage while holding a kunai over the newborn babies. Said babies, each one of them had taken after their parents. The girl had blood red hair and fair skin with ocean blue eyes, while the other twin, the boy, had blonde hair and eyes with tan skin. The twins were sleeping peacefully, not knowing what kind of dangerous situation they was in. Minato was a fairly tall, fair-skinned man. He had bright, blue eyes and blonde hair. How did he break, thought the barrier? Who the hell is this guy? He thought without taking eyes from the stranger who was holding his newborn son, Naruto, as a hostage. That was when he heard a scream of his wife. He quickly turned and looked at his wife to make sure she was all right. Uzumaki Kushina, who was also happened to be the third Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox, was barely holding the seal that had weakened because of childbirth. She had a slender but feminine build, fair skin, violet eyes, fiery red hair. A common trait among the members of the Uzumaki clan, with strands that framed both sides of her face, a black clip that parted her hair to the left, keeping it out of her eyes. The seal's not done, Minato thought. He was worried the fox could break the seal holding him captive and escape from it. Kushina screamed again, as Nine-Tail forced more chakra to escape from his prison. Kushina, Minato said, as he worried for safety of his son and wife. Back away from the Jinchuriki, or don't you care if your kid die? The masked intruder asked again, his words becoming more impassioned as time passed. Hold it. Jay, just clam down. Minato said with worry laced into his voice, as he held his left hand up in a placating gesture. You should take your own advice, Minato. I'm perfectly calm, the masked man said, and he tossed baby Naruto up. Manama. Mito. Kushina cried out in terror at the thought of her children being hurt. The masked man attacked with his kunai toward the baby's aerial form, but acting quickly, Minato disappeared and reappeared behind the masked man, holding his kids in hand. You live up to the yellow flash moniker, the man said calmly. He was clearly impressed by Minato's speed. But what now? Minato looked down in horror as he found exploding tags on the blanket. Tag blasted off. Manama. Minato. Mito. Kushina screamed in a horror. Minato flew out of the smoke and debris with his children unharmed in his arms. His three-pronged kunai was sticking into the ground just a few meters away from him. He looked down at his son and said with a great relief after seeing him unharmed. Thank God. You're not hurt. OWW. He cried in pain. He looked down at his leg to see a splinter of wood stuck in his leg. He gasped as he took it out. He's after Kushina. He forced me to use my Flying Thunder God technique. Separate us. Gotta hurry. Throwing the splinter of wood that had stuck in his leg, he disappeared with his children and reappeared in his safe house that was somewhere on the outskirts of the hid Leaf village that he had utilized in case of an emergency. Meanwhile, with Kushina, the masked man had bound her to several large rocks by the seal that imprisoned the Nine Tails. She stood in the center of the rocks and stared. Man before her while sweat dripping down her face from the exhaustion of giving birth. What are you after? She asked, panting tiredly. I came to rip the Nine Tails from your stomach and use it to crush the leaf, the masked man answered simply. What? Kushina exclaimed. Her panting had been becoming worse. Minato's teleportation technique uses a special marking that lets him instantly move from one marking to the next, the man said in a neutral tone while looking at the sea. Kushina's stomach. I see he's incorporated it into the design of your seal, so he would always be there to protect you. But I managed to get away from him. And the Sebine greatly weakened from the birth. He looked up at her. His lone eyes turned red with three tomo circling the pupil. Sharingan. Do you have any idea how long I've waited for this moment? His tone of last sentence caused Kushina's eyes to widen in shock. You'll be safe here. Minato laid the newborn kids onto a small bed with rails surrounding the sides. You'll wait on your own for a little bit, Manama, Mito. He covered his children with a blanket. Keep them warm. I've gotta go save your mom before it's too late. He looked at the sleeping face of his children for last time before flashing away. Back with Kushina, the masked man was inside of her seal where the remaining half of Nine-Tailed Demon Fox's chakra tied to a large rock with chains and stakes piercing her tails. The man focused his lone Sharingan. The Demon Queen's large slitted eyes changed into the pattern of three tomo, which eventually faded back in the background. The Nine Tails roared, breaking all registrations that held him to the massive rock and started to melt. Outside the seal, however, Kushina screamed, as the violent red bubbles of chakra exploded from her body, feeling like she was being burned alive. Come forth, Nine-Tailed Fox. The masked man shouted, as he placed his hands in a seal. With a mighty ground-shaking roar of the tremors, the Nine-Tailed Fox emerged from his host, reappearing in the real world once again after a century. We head for the Hidden Leaf Village, the masked stranger commanded before turning to walk away from there. Stop. Kushina breathed out tiredly while trying to stand up on her feet. The man turned around to see Kushina survive the extraction of her tailed beast. The Uzumaki clan is really something special. Even wrenching a tailed beast out of your didn't kill you right anyway, he said. He turned to his new pet once again. It's only fitting for the Nine Tails to kill his former Jinchuriki. The Nine Tails lifted one of his large claws and slashed down with intending to kill his former host. As his large paw smashed down at the rock she was on, a flash of yellow proceeded. The paw smashed place, but Kushina disappeared before she could crush under it. As the dust settled, Minato was crouching on top of a large tree, holding his wife against himself. A small flash of hope, But it's too late, the masked man said after watching the failed attempt of the demon fox. Minato. Is Naruto? Are the kids okay? Kushina strenuously breathed out. Her face was devoid of life that was extracted out of her with the beast. Bags had gathered her eyes and mixed that with the sweating and weary look on her face. It made her look slightly older than the young beautiful woman she was. Minato answered, as he grinned, trying to put on his bravado face. Yes. They are fine. I hid them somewhere safe. Oh, thank God. Kushina breathed a sigh of relief before she looked at her husband. Minato. Stop him. Stop the Nine Tails' chakra, she warned, a slight tone of worry. Usual cheerful voice. They're headed for the village. Minato looked at his wife for a second before teleporting again. The man raised an eyebrow behind his mask. Gone again. No matter. On to the leaf, he said with a faraway gaze into the distance. The masked man then but his hand. His chin in though. So it is true that the first Hokage did speared the chakra of the demon from the soul. The one I realized was just mere chakra. No wonder I was able to it so easily. Though it is very demonic, even if it is just chakra, it is reaching very violently towards humans. Hey, I guess the women really hated humans even after her death. Her counties to hate humans or something. Minato appeared in the same room he had come before, but this time instead of Naruto, he had a tired Kushina in his arms. Why? Kushina asked. Never mind why. Just stay with the kids, Minato said, as he set Kushina down on the bed next to sleeping twins. Manama, Mito, Kushina whispered, as she hugged her children with a brilliant smile despite the situation. She wrapped an arm around him as he lay beneath the blanket. Pulled him close and the side of his head rested against her own. Minato. Thank you. Good luck. She closed her eyes and slept peacefully beside her children. Somewhere else with Naruto. Naruto felt something was off. There was a shift in the air. He didn't know how, but he had a feeling that something bad, no terrifying, was going to happen. He looked up at Moon. He saw that it was blood red. Then, true to his thoughts, he felt a mighty rumple. Then the Cupid appeared. Fear like he never felt before. He looked at the beast that sta to kill ruthlessly. Women, children dispels his fear. He felt something different. He didn't know what, but his vision changed. His eyes no longer were the known stunning blue. Like the galaxy was in it, they were blood red with 3 Tomo Sharingan in each. His shaking body stopped. His hands have settled down. He no longer was afraid. He felt like been fighting for years, no generations. His survival instinct kicked in as he avoided a tail. In a flash of black and red, he felt about 4 different energies being awakened in him. Chakra, cursed energy, yokai and Reitsu. On that moment he knew that he could save the people that were being killed, but did he really wanted to save them after all? Were the same people who made his life a living hell. He glared at nothing in particular, but a thought made itself known in his head. But those are lives, even if they had. They seemed so happy, so peaceful together. I don't want let them die. This seems so wrong. He held his head in pain as headache forced its way to him. Then with thinking, his body moved on its own to the same twins that beated him last time. He that day most of Kana's civilization, about 80% of it, was saved by the raven hair child. People didn't know who or what saved them. The only thing that they could see was a flash of crimson and pitch black. Naruto didn't know how did he get this power. Is going to get a hint soon. Minato clenched his fists in determination as he rose from his place. Going over to the wall where a coat was hung up, he grabbed it and swung it around to wear it. The coat had crimson fire licking the bottom with the kanji for 4th Hokage vertically stitched on the back. I'll be back before you know it, he said to his wife. He flashed away to stop the masked man and the 9-tailed fox, and save his village. The man who had attacked the 4th Hokage and his family and extracted the 9 tails from Kushina appeared just inside the village's walls. He slammed his hand on ground. Summoning jutsu. He unleashed the monstrous beast inside the territory of the hidden leaf. The fox roared while his tail smashed buildings and crushed mountains, true to his legend, causing mass debris to fly away in various directions. Some of the villagers, who weren't caught in the initial assault, looked up at the fox in pure, unadulterated fear. Attack! Demon Fox. 3rd Hokage Sama. One of the leaf Anbu appeared beside the previous Hokage, third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had dressed in the battle suit. It's the Nine Tails. Nine Tails attacked the village out of nowhere. I know. I'll hold it back, gather, and protect civilians. Hiruzen said while placing his battle-worn bracer on his right forearm. Yes, sir. The Anbu responded, and he disappeared as quickly as he had arrived. The former Hokage gazed at the giant beast while thinking, did Kushina's seal fail? Were all the safeguards we put in the place really not enough? Minato appeared on the top of his head that carved into the Hokage mountain. Looking around from the top of the mountain, he could clearly see the Nine Tails had been summoned in the center of the village. So you noticed me already, Minato said. He saw the fox had begun to accumulate his chakra to the mouth, condensing it into a large and a lethal ball of energy. Not on. Watch. The nine-tailed fox fired a tailed beast ball toward the fourth from his giant mouth. At the same time, Minato spread his hands out with one of his special kunai held out horizontally. An invisible barrier formed in front of him with a mass intricate pattern of seals suspending in midair. The wall absorbed the attack until there was nothing left. Forest, not far from him, the same barrier opened up and set off an explosion that rocked the village from the distant and decimated the forest that caught in the blast. Below the Hokage monument, the leaf shinobis watched the tailed beast ball vanished into some kind of barrier. It stopped the Nine Tails attack. That was a space-time barrier jutsu. A red-headed man with purple markings on his cheeks said. His name was Akamichi Chusa, the 15th head of the Akamichi clan. Nara Shikaku, the head of the Nara clan, said, "It's Minato." Back with Minato, he was preparing to teleport to Hiruzen's side. I have to tell third what happened. Suddenly, the same masked man who was responsible for everything rose up from the top of the fourth's face on the mountain. Sensing the man behind him, Minato Arki whole body in rotator motion and tried to slash his three-pointed kunai into the man's head. However, it just phased through the man's head, causing Minato's eyes widening. Shock. You will face me, the masked man said, grabbing Minato's wrist, the one that had gone through his head. And we're done. Suddenly, Minato's form started to become distorted and began to suck into what looked like some sort of vortex that had opened up from the masked man's eyehole. Before could suck inside completely, he flashed away. He teleported. Talk about fast, the masked man said, shocked at seeing someone had countered his jutsu. He narrowed his lone eye. Next time, I'll wrap you the moment my hand on you. Minato landed with a crash at a different section of the forest with one of his kunai stabbing into the ground beside him. He grunted while standing up. My attack slipped through him. But a moment later he was solid and trying to suck me into some dimension or something. What was that move? He thought. A swirling vortex appeared in front of him and a moment later, the same masked man appeared, shocking the fourth Hokage. You won't escape me, he told Minato. Does he use a space-time jutsu too? Whatever he did, it must be how he moved so far after taking Kushina. Minato's mind began to race with possibilities. He narrowed high at his foe. He defected Anbu under the direct command of the third, got past of most powerful, top secret barrier we have, and must have known the seal would be weak. Kushina was giving birth. Then, with the seal undone, he took the Nine Tails and marched straight into the leaf without so much as pausing to deal with the barrier. There. One man I can think of that makes sense for him to tell me that he is father. I know that he isn't, but he sure is strong. But this chakra, it feels so familiar, but I just can't place fingers on it. Minato was shocked. He still remembers the night his father had left him here in the gates of Konoha. He summarized to himself deep in thought before looking up at the man and asked, No, you can't be Madara. He saw the man pulled his hood back to reveal short spiky hair. No, you couldn't be him. He's long dead and nor can you ever be close to his level of chakra, but you are strong. I give you that. Now tell me who you really are, Minato. His Sharingan hidden under the high-level genjutsu. Oh, I don't know about that, the masked man taunted. But in the inside he was shocked. How could he know about him? He knows something that I don't know. On second thought, it doesn't matter who you are, Minato said. But why have you attacked the leaf? Oh, you know, it's fun. It's part of my plan. the masked man said, summoning a long chain. He attached it both ends of his wrists, to start the war. To bring the piak. Minato narrowed his eyes at the masked man further. Whoever he is, he's incredible. He can control the nine tails, wield space-time jutsu that exceed both second and M. And clearly has evil intentions, he thought. If I don't kill him now, he'll become a greater danger than the fox. He took his three-pointed kunai out. If I teleport back to the village, he'll follow me and things will get more chaotic. He isn't father, that is for sure, but still I doubt he can summon the nine tails very long. I'll just have to leave the V in the third's hands and finish him off right here. There's no hope, any of you, the masked man declared, and he charged at Minato. Minato did the same, but the man became intangible again, allowing Minato to phase through him. The masked man solidified and spun around once Minato was behind him. Pulled the chain and wrapped Minato around the chest with it. However, Minato chucked his kunai to a section of the forest and flashed away, letting the chain simply float air. The masked man's eyes widened slightly. Minato flashed besides his three-pointed kunai and looked back at the man. He makes his body intangible to negate my attacks, and then solidifies to counterattack. My onus to try and trade hits with him, he thought. But attacking at all is a big risk for him. If he can keep the nine tails summoned for short time, he won't want this fight drag on. Spun around and charged again. It comes down to speed. Whoever strikes a split second earlier will win. As they both charged at each other, Minato threw one of his special kunai at the man who let it phased through him. They got even closer to each other, the kunai's NW. Almost all the way out the back of the man's head. The same man went to grab Minato's shoulder. Minato had already formed a large blue sphere, Rasengan. As the man W about to touch the fourth, the kunai slipped all the way out of his head. The masked man smiled behind his mask and said, "Gotch." In a split second, Minato vanished in a yellow flash, causing the man's eyes to widen. The blonde Hokage appeared behind the man and slammed the Rasengan down into T. Masked man's back before catching the kunai. The man screamed in the pain as he crushed into the ground. Damn it. He teleported to the kunai he just threw, he thought. That was the Flying Thunder God Jutsu level 2, Minato said proudly. When he looked down, his eyes narrowed. The Rasengan had exploded, literally destroying the grove, but the man had somehow teleported away. The masked man appeared on a slab of rock nearby. His arm was fluidly being separated out of his body and a white substance was dripping from his wound, but before he'd know anything about it, the fourth Hokage appeared in front him and stabbed him in the stomach with a kunai, making him to spit blood into his mask. The Flying Thunder God Jutsu. He must have put that marking somewhere, the masked man thought as he searched his clothes. When he found the marking was placed in armor, he let out a sigh of relief as it wasn't marked in his body. Minato then placed his hand on the man's chest where markings suddenly sprouted from, looking like the markings fit for a seal. A contract seal, the masked man said, as he recognized the seal. Are you trying to pull the nine tails free from my control? No, I already did, Minato said. The demon is no longer in your weapon. In the distance where the nine-tailed fox was wreaking havoc, her eyes that held a Sharingan due to the chakra bee being under control of it, reverted back to its red slit E. The masked man jumped upward out of Minato's range. You deserve the title of the fourth Hokage. Managing to wound me and wrest the fox from my control in one, Mohei said. But someday it will be mine again. The fox and this whole world will bow to my will. He began to wrap himself. Many doors are still left open to me. He vanished, swirling into a vortex. Something tells me, Minato thought, he wasn't lying. He gazed at the place previously occupied by the masked man before disappearing in a flash. Minato flashed into the village to see the nine tails preparing for another tailed beast ball. Though he was glad third Hokage had managed to hold the fox, but he had no TFOR thinking about it. Biting his thumb to draw blood, he slammed it down on the ground. Summoning jutsu. There was a large puff of smoke that soon revealed a large, dull, rusty red-colored toad, Gamabunta, the chief toad of Mount Myoboku, in all his glory, who was barely whole. The nine tails. Minato stood on the top of the chief toad as he looked at the nine tails while thinking about the masked man's words. He clenched his eyes shut. Sorry, Kushina. Looking the large toad, he said, hold the fox down for a minute. Look, I may be big, but I'm not a miracle worker. Gamabunta said while trying to hold the nine tails down. I need enough chakra to take him and that blast out of here. Minato shouted when he saw the nine tails preparing another bigger-tailed beast ball. He quickly made some seals in a moment. Later, he vanished with the nine tails, leaving the toad boss alone, who later disappeared in a puff of smoke. The third Hokage had been watching everything. Minato. Did he teleport himself and the nine tails? He said. A part of the forest, which was a good distance away from him, exploded in a dome of light, most likely from the nine tails attack. Out there, the place where the nine tails had been teleported, Minato appeared with his wife, Kushina, and his newborn son, Naruto, in his arms. Gotta put a barrier, he said taking his eyes from the nine tails. He placed Kushina down on the grass. My chakra's almost drained, Kushina said, but she used her last bit of chakra to summon her chakra chains, as several golden chains shot from her back and wrapped Aru Fox's tails and body, pulling him to the ground. Kushina. Minato shouted, worriedly that woke up baby Naruto from his peaceful sleep. He began to cry. Sorry kids, I didn't mean to wake you. Kushina said, blood dribbling from her mouth, as she gave her children a smile. After that Minato and Kushina had an argument cause Minato couldn't just reseal the demon's chakra back into Kushina after that Kushina had finally agreed to seal one qua. Mito and 1/4 in Manama Minato and Kushina and the rest of the village have had a big festival because of Minato deafening the Kyuubi, unknown to them that this Naruto's life even worse. So just some quick notes here Minato is going to be Gojo's uncle, his brother is her father, and the Gojo clan has descent relatives to the Namikaze clan at some point they one clan, but then cursed energy came out and some of the Namikaze lost their ability to use chakra, but they got their own bloodline that was the Limitless and Six Eyes, aft. They named themselves the Gojo clan. The Namikaze clan have an ice bloodline, but what makes it stand out is that they don't need hand signs to generate ice, the Yuki claw. Kiri and their ice is stronger and doesn't require a lot of chakra to generate. The Namikaze clan members are known for their blonde hair and blue eyes, but their hair turn. For a while after they use the bloodline, sometimes their hair never change back to normal. The Uzumaki clan is the direct descendant of the Kyuubi. Some of them can be born as half demons or demon, but never the Kyuubi herself. It only happened about 3 times to Uzumaki Yahito and Naruto, and last but not least the king of curses Ryomen Sukuna. Some say he stole the power from Uzumaki Yahito, but it is unknown until now, and G. Mother is an Uzumaki. Gojo's mother is human, but Gojo was born as a half-demon, so Satoru is related to Naruto from both sides. Sorry Naruto doesn't have whiskers. Her Miss wrote it in the last chapter. I will make sure to edit it. With Minato. Minato was quite happy with what he has just been informed on. His master has just came and told him that his son Manama was the child of prophecy. He gave his signet grin looking at the paper in his hands. He will be favored by Shinigami and Yami. He will be the Titan of Titans. He will have the wisdom and knowledge gained from many lives past and have aged beyond his time. He will bear the face of a monster, but will be the exact opposite in nature. He will end wars without shedding a drop of blood, have an army at his fingertips, make demons bow to him and make the impossible possible. He will bear the scars of unforgivable betrayal. He is the one who will bring peace and balance to the ninja world. He will make the mighty gods to their knees. Minato came to the conclusion that Hiro was the child of prophecy. The only thing that concerns him is who is the one who will betray Manama. A few moments and it's for him, the demon, he whispered. With that he ran to kill the demon. He would be favored by Shinigami and Yami. He would rise from the ash of the forgotten. With a thread of red that followed him from the pain and betrayal. He will make the fox growl. He will make the dragons bows. He will make the wolf howls. He would be the titan of the main 9. With the clan of war holding him high to reach his goals. With the betrayal forgotten behind. The forgiven heart of gold. All hail the god of the 9. Back with Naruto. Naruto was As usual, running for his life, but today was different. However, this was a quiet nighttime operation. It wasn't by civilians. It wasn't by random shunin. It was the underground faction of Anbu, Root. The group was led by Danzo Shimura, whom used the group to further his own ambitions, the most important being appointed a Hokage. The chase only lasted as long as the Root members allowed it, which was only until Naruto ended up in a dark, secluded alleyway, away from the majority of the village. Oh, there, one of them did a quick shunshin in front of Naruto, and backhanded him. Landing with a hard thunk against a building, Naruto slumped down, trying to curl into a PFF'd. This is pathetic. Demon. Get up and show us your true form already. The Root ninja that backhanded him spoke, his monkey mask holding in his vicious glare, before taking out a kunai and slashing Naruto across his left forearm. Biting back a scream, Naruto tried to curl more, but this only infuriated the second Root ninja, whom had Mask of a snake. You fucking whore. Curling up. A sharp kick to the spine. Well. This time, a solid crack was heard as the foot connected with Naruto's right leg. He didn't cry. Naruto wished he could ease into unconsciousness, and tried to close his eyes. But this didn't work, and Naruto suddenly found he was injected with something. Oh no, demon. You aren't tuckering out so easily. This serum allows you to increase nerve and mental resistance, so that you stay awake for much longer. Did you know expert torturer, Ibiki Morino, uses this stuff all the time? Maybe we can set up a play date between you two if we suddenly found plans to destroy Konoha under your bed. Monkey masked Root spoke, giving a short chuckle as Naruto's eyes widened with fear. It was far from over though. The third Root member, a girl with a wolf mask, stepped forward. In her hands, she held a rusty nail, which was laced with poison. Hey demon, did you know my mom was a tattoo artist? I wanted to help her out at the store in my free time, you know, a little relaxation from missions. Well, I can't do now. Once of the earthquakes you created destroyed the shop, with her in it. The body was too mutilated and broken to even recognize in the slightest. But I did learn one. I learned how to tattoo the word, goodbye. I did this when I did it on my own arm, to signify what I lost. But now I get to try it on you, with a much better tool. The wall. Masked Root spoke, before launching at Naruto and taking the nail to skin. Hey, don't do too much. The serum can only resist a certain amount of pain and mental fatigue. The snake masked Root warned, but the wolf moxed Root seemed him off, before carving more. Gee, she exclaimed happily, watching as Naruto writhed in pain. Oh. This time, the monkey masked Root cast a quick sound-proofing genjutsu around the area, sensing Naruto about to scream. Oh. Bye. This is what you get for killing my mom demon and for trying to harm the fourth. The female Anbu said, damn the fourth, he was the one who put me through this. He yelled out in pain. Unknown to him, Kakashi who was walking by heard him came run. Him with his hand covered in lightning. How dare you insult my sensei? With that a hand had pushed its way in the left part of his shoulder. This time tears fell free from eyes as he screamed loudly. It was far from over as a flash of yellow appeared. His own father, Minato, had an angry look in his eyes, but when his father started beating was the final straw. He had long gave up on trying to get his parents to love him, but something like this never happened and before. At that moment he felt rage like never be. Boiling inside of him, his eyes changed color to red slitted eyes, his nails became black in color and turned into claws, red chakra started to appear around him covering his Stop, why can't you leave me alone? He roared. Make them go to their knees because of the retsu he let out. Surprisingly, he couldn't harm them, he just calmed tears running wildly from his realistion hit him. If he can't bring himself to kill them, maybe death will free him. He didn't want to live anymore, he had no reason to. He gave going to outside of Konoha. It was simple, he doesn't have a why to live anymore. With that his body fell limp to the ground. On that day an innocent child has been killed. Before falling he had a thought that he can finally be free. Shinigami sensed someone pass into limbo, the dimension between the living world, Hueku Mundo, Soul Society in the main demon realm. And went to meet them. She found a 4-year-old blonde boy crying in the middle of the forest near Konoha. Shinigami sighed. Her job was never easy. She heard the Kai crying before passing out. They really sobbed. Did K kill me? Sob. Why? I knew they didn't like me, but what did I sob do? Cried the young boy as he passed out cold. Nothing. You didn't do anything to deserve this. No child deserves having their life cut short. She said this but realized something. This boy isn't supposed to be here. He is human. He isn't any demon either. He is the Cupid. Normally a demon soul goes to the demon realm. A human soul either to the Soul Society. Her job was to realize those souls didn't. Base the truth is that her rightful place been taken from her by the human who now calls himself the Soul King, but she is fine with, to be honest, but troubled. Why is this kid's soul is here in limbo and not in the demon realm? How the fuck is he dead in the first place? She noticed something. This boy was not only a demon, he ha Reaper's power. The weird thing is that he got it while he was still alive, not just that. No, he was hollow as well. This child can stop the madness that is happening not on living world but with us gods as well. This energy is incredible and this boy has access to multiple past lives. He has unlimited potential. I wonder why I feel that H. Physical body is 14 when he has only been alive for 8 years. It must be that weird phenomenon called chakra aging. He also has a pure heart. It would be a shame. And there's shit. That is why curses exist, thought Shinigami. But there was a problem. The boy was dead. I know. I'll take him. Yami. If bring him back to life. Shinigami was a beautiful woman with wavy white hair and a white dress with tome Sharingan all over it. She had extremely pale skin and dark blue eyes. Black claws. Saw goes to her sister Yami. The only difference that Yami had darker blue hair. She held up the boy through the portal. On the other side of the portal was a beautiful lush a crystal clear lake and a stone castle. Shinigami went to the castle where Yami was having tea in the courtyard. Sis, what brings you here? Said a slender woman with long wavy dark blue hair and dark blue eyes. Shinigami rolled her eyes annoyed. What a way to greet me. What a came here because I believe someone should be brought to life. Yami was confused to say the least. Then she looked over to the boy. Kami was shocked. They killed the child. Human stupidity really knows no bounds. She and Yami exchanged looks, until Yami's eyes widened in shock. The shitty thing is that I don't even know what bine this child. Shinigami said. Yami looked at her as if she growed a second head. And she is the one who deals with this type of things, Yami thought before delivering a smack in the he. Causing Shinigami to yell. You stupid excuse of a death god. Ah, this hurts. You know. Are you telling me that you know what he is? Shinigami said, rubbing her head. Small tears in her eyes. Not really, but I will tell you. Simple. He destroyed the boundary between hollows and demon, and humans. To be simple, he unlocks the true potential of a hollow. How the hell is that even possible? A wide-eyed Shinigami exclaimed. What you are saying is virtually impossible. Yami shook her head. Shinigami, what's the opposite being of a Shinigami? Not you kind of Shinigami, the normal weak type of Shinigami. Quincy. What's opposite of hollow? Human. Good. Now tell me what's an Arankar? A hollow who has removed his mask and got his human form and his humanity or some part of it back. But I don't get what you're trying to say. What I'm saying is that the Arankars created through the traditional method are not perfect, and this thing here, the confusing thing is that he is no human yet he manag. Well, what he did. Yami said. Shinigami.